You know, every single business, whether it's a tiny coffee shop or a giant factory, wants to grow. But what a lot of people don't realize is that every business has a kind of hidden ceiling, a limit. And it's not determined by your ambition, but by your capacity. So today, we're going to break down how to find that limit and, even more importantly, how to strategically raise it. It's the constant balancing act, isn't it? One month, your team is completely swamped. You're actually turning customers away. The next month, you've got this expensive machinery just sitting there, silent, while you're paying staff to basically wait for the phone to ring. And let's be real, this is more than just a headache. It's one of the most fundamental problems in business. And getting it wrong, well, it cuts both ways. If you have too much capacity, you're just bleeding money on wasted resources. Think empty warehouse space, equipment that's powered down, a team that's underutilized. But if you have too little capacity, you're looking at frustrated customers who will gladly go to your competitors, which damages your reputation and means you're missing out on serious revenue. It is the ultimate Goldilocks problem. All right, so how do you get it just right? That's what this is all about, because finding that sweet spot is really the core of strategic capacity planning. Okay, first things first, let's get our terms straight. Capacity is really just about your potential. It's the absolute maximum number of widgets you can make or services you can provide in a certain amount of time. Think of it like the top speed listed in your car's manual. But as we all know, that's not the speed you can actually drive every single day. You can't manage what you don't measure, right? And when it comes to your capacity, there are two key numbers that act like vital signs for the health of your entire operation. So first up, you've got design capacity. Think of this as your perfect world number. It's your factory running 24/7 with zero interruptions, no one ever takes a coffee break, basically a fantasy. But then there's effective capacity, which is way more useful. This is your realistic number. It's the one that actually accounts for real-world stuff, like employee breaks, machine maintenance, reality. Okay, so we have these two big ideas, design capacity and effective capacity. But what do we actually do with them? How can we use them to grade how we're really doing? Well, that brings us to our first vital sign, efficiency. This calculation measures your actual output against your realistic maximum, your effective capacity. If this number is high, like 89.3%, it means you're doing a great job getting the most out of the resources you actually have available. You're running a pretty tight ship. And the second vital sign is utilization. Now, this one compares your actual output to your theoretical maximum, that perfect world design capacity. Now, a lower number here, like this 64.7%, might seem bad, but it isn't always. It just shows you how much of your absolute theoretical potential you're tapping into. Really, the gap between your efficiency and your utilization tells a story about how much capacity gets eaten up by all those real-world necessities. But here's where it gets really, really interesting. Often, your entire system's capacity, that whole big operation, it all hinges on one single, often hidden point of failure. And to really get this, let's look at a simple story about a little business that makes tote bags. All right, so let's meet Caroline. Her business has a really simple four-step process. First, someone cuts the fabric, which takes about 4 minutes per bag. Then that fabric gets stitched, taking 7 minutes. After that, zippers and liners are added, and that's the longest step at 10 minutes. And finally, each bag is inspected and packed, which takes 5 minutes. So, at first glance, it just looks like a process, right? Everything seems to be flowing, but if you look really closely at those times, can you spot it? Can you see the one step that's holding everything else back? Yep, it's the bottleneck. This is a concept that is so critical, it can honestly make or break a company's ability to grow. And here is the absolute most important thing to understand about a bottleneck. It's not just the slow part. It literally sets the speed limit for the entire system. Your whole operation can only move as fast as its slowest part, period. So for Caroline, here's what that actually looks like. Think about it. The cutting station is just cranking out fabric every 4 minutes. But that poor zipper station can only handle one bag every 10 minutes. So what happens? You get this huge pileup of half-finished bags right before step 3, while the person at step 4 is just waiting around. The zipper station is the bottleneck. And the math here is it's brutal and it's simple. In a 7-hour workday, that's 420 minutes, the absolute maximum number of bags her team can produce is 42. Not because of any of the other steps, but only because the zipper station can only process one bag every 10 minutes. 42, that's her true capacity. Okay, so scenario time. An employee finds a new sewing machine. It can speed up step 2, the stitching, from 7 minutes down to just 5. It costs a few $1,000s, but hey, it makes that step faster. Sounds like a pretty good investment to increase output, right? Absolutely not. And I'm telling you, this is a trap that so many businesses fall into day in and day out. It's because if you don't know where your real bottleneck is, you are literally just throwing money away for zero results. Let's just look at the two options here. On one hand, you buy that fancy new stitching machine. Guess what? Your output is still 42 bags a day. Why? Because step 3 is still the choke point. But what if you make the smart move? What if you address the actual bottleneck? By just adding another person to help with zippers at step 3, you effectively double that station's capacity. And just look at what happens. With 2 people working on zippers, that station is no longer the limit. Now, the new bottleneck is the stitching step at 7 minutes per bag. And just like that, the whole system's capacity jumps from 42 all the way up to 60 totes per day. That's a huge increase just by investing in the right place. The bottleneck has shifted. Now, Caroline's story is great, but it's not really about tote bags. It's about the 2 key things that determine any business's real-world capacity. First, you have process factors, things like quality, efficiency, how fast you can change over equipment. And second, you have human factors, the skill of your employees, their training, their motivation. Fixing a bottleneck almost always involves one of these 2 things. So that really just leaves us with one big question for you to think about. When you look at your own business, or your department, or hey, even just your own personal to-do list, where are you putting your energy and your money? And are you sure you've found the one single constraint that's truly holding you back?